Alright guys, so today I'm going to explain the only thing you really take with you to the hereafter. Once you die, you know, you either go to two places. You go to heaven or you go to hell, right? And the only thing you really take with you is your soul and your kids or your wife, right? If they, basically adhere to Islamic principles, right? If you got married for the right reasons and you raised children that were righteous and that were servants of Allah and they really conduct themselves in an Islamic way, then, inshallah, they can go to Jannah and you can bring them with you to Jannah. And that's really the only thing that matters in life, guys, is the things that you take with you. And that's your character, right? You know, Islam is about detachment of the dunya and attachment to Allah, attachment to the hereafter. You're living life for the hereafter rather than living life for this materialistic world, right? This dunya. And I realized that no matter how much money I make, no matter how successful you may become on the outside, how much whatever you obtain, it's never enough because these things can't be satisfied by the human soul. And also, you can't take these things with you to the hereafter. Once you die, all the businesses you build, all the, everything that you do in this life, you're never really going to take it with you. Your body even. It's good to take care of your body, right? Because this body is the vessel that Allah has given you, right? Allah has let you borrow this body. So imagine Allah lets you borrow something, right? And you don't take care of it, right? So it's kind of irresponsible, as a servant to not take care of the things his master has given him, right? So that's why, taking care of your body and really becoming a strong Muslim with muscle and, it's more ideal because you're really appreciating the gift that Allah has given you, which is your body, right? And you only have one of it. You can't replace another heart. Once you perish your heart, you're done. Once you cut your arm off, you're done. You can't regrow another arm. It's like your body is literally irreplaceable. Your health is irreplaceable. Whereas all the things in dunya, these things like money and followers, these are things that are replaceable. You can replace things like a Lambo, a mansion. If your mansion gets bombed, okay, whatever. It's all the things in the dunya, your house, all these things can be replaced. But things that can't be replaced are the lives of your children, the lives of your family, your own body. So I think Islam really tackles really well when it comes to focusing on what you can take with you to your hereafter. And I think one of the interesting things about Islam is the perspective of self-development that Islam has to offer. Self-development, what most people think, if you talk to non-Muslims that, are very successful, they think that self-development is how much money you make, how good your physique is, how much girls you sleep with, right? These are things these are things that typically I've noticed when it comes to talking to non-Muslims, right? It's all this vanity stuff, right? All this, how much followers you have on Instagram, how much influence you have, how much of power, how much money, all these things, right? All these materialistic dunya stuff, how much watches you have, It's people base success on that when in reality, success is about how close you are to Allah, Because that's what true success is. And when you can refine your character, right? Which is something that most people don't take into account. I think one part of self-development is actually your character, which is who you are as a person. Take all the money, take all the things you have in your life, take all the dunya, right? What do you have left of you? The only thing you have left is your soul, who you are. And that's really the one thing you can take with you to the hereafter. This is why I realized that refining character and trying to be trying to model, or not copy, but at least emulate the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. At least trying to emulate the Prophet of Allah, I think is going to really be crucial for self-development that is not related to things like money and success, right? So that's what I realized, success is not what people think it is, because all these things that you can be successful now in the dunya, but it's you can't really take these things to the hereafter. You can't take these things after you die, So So that's why I have decided to focus on refining my character, just who I am. And, you know, if you're to build a righteous family, kids that are servants of God, then you can take them with you to the hereafter, right? These are things that are truly important in life. What's truly important in life is your attachment to Allah, because ultimately, Allah, it provides for everything. He provides for your success. Like everything you do in your life that's successful was done by Allah's permission. So all the money you get, all the, whatever social media followers you get, all that, it's all really determined by Allah. It's all really permissibly allowed by Allah. And if you don't have a chance to be grateful, right, while you're growing in the dunya, then your connection with Allah is very weak, because it's like you're not really conscious that all the things you have in your life is because of Allah. When you really think of it like that, you really start to ground yourself and be a little bit more humble. So that's why, I look at manga like Berserk and Vagabond and Villain Saga, right? And people might think like, well, what does manga have to be related to Islam? Well, the thing is, guys, is that I wanted to emulate Musashi from Vagabond, like his character, just seeing his character development and seeing how he became a very humble, he had a character that was very close to the Prophet. Like if you observe the way he moved through life, the way he conducted himself, how he would avoid confrontation, how he would be nice to people, how he realized that true strength isn't just about how good you are at fighting, but it's about being able to continue to do something despite it being hard, whether it be farming on a field, like, on the farm arc, Musashi, he was having a hard time. This is the first time he ever had struggled with anything, because, he was the strongest samurai in Japan. He was able to kill anyone because he was strong at fighting and good at fighting, but he realized that true strength also comes down to being resilient in all areas of life, not just fighting. Being strong is not about how good you are with fighting. It's about how you're able to continue to move forward with the struggle. And this is, Musashi is and also Thorfinn from Vinland Saga, just seeing his growth from being a violent kid that killed a lot of people, that was very hurt, to seeing him grow into a more peaceful man, right? Seeing the development. And I look at these characters like Musashi, Thorfinn, they may be fictional characters, but these are good role models to emulate as humans, right? And Guts too, just seeing him, he was raging, he was like completely pessimistic, always negative. And then he got surrounded by people and he realized what was truly important, and you can see the development in Guts' character, right? And these are examples of people that we should try to emulate. And they're a form of self-development in terms of how we should conduct ourselves in life. It's not just about, success is not just about how much things you have in this dunya, how many things you have, it's also about who you are and your connection towards the higher power. And I feel like Musashi, if you read some of his books, he really was connected to Allah in a way, because even though he wasn't conscious of God, just because, Islam never hit Japan at the time, but which is with his own natural fitrah, he viewed lightly of himself and deeply of the world. There's a quote by Musashi that says, "View yourself lightly and deeply of the world." Or it says, "View lightly of yourself and deeply of the world." What he meant by that was, he was saying that you should humble yourself in comparison to the world, right? But what he really meant, if you're to translate to Islam, is you should humble yourself before Allah. So Musashi already understood that there was intrinsically a higher power. Even though if he couldn't point his finger at it, with his own natural instinct and fitrah, he understood that some of his life was predetermined by a higher power that he couldn't control. And I think being humble and showing gratitude in this process is a form of self-development. So it's not, so that's what I realized, that's what I really, this hit me, because now you have so many other things to improve on, right, in your life, that are not just money, that are not just about, vanity things, right, that are surface level dunya stuff, right? But when you can focus on your attachment towards Allah, and when you can focus on your character, that's when you can actually know what it means to be fully developed as a human and be successful. But also, you can take these things to the hereafter and take these things after you die. A character is one thing that you can't take with you. So yeah, guys, I think people should focus when it comes to self-improvement and self-development. Character, focusing on one's character is also important, because it's really one of the things you can take with you. And I think, other than focusing things on like how much money you make or like all these things in the dunya, if you focus on your attachment towards Allah, then Allah will give you all these things. Allah will provide you with as much money as you need, as much, you know, kids as you need, as much whatever. It doesn't matter. Like all the things in dunya, like Allah can provide for you, right? You just have to make sure that your focus is Allah, and then the rest is up to Allah for you, to provide for you. So when you can just focus on channeling your energy towards the character, towards Allah, then you end up attracting everything else in the dunya. And I think that is what true success really means. Because there's an ayah in the Quran that says, if one makes their priority the dunya, then Allah will set poverty between their eyes. What this really means is, even if you have all the money in the world, you still feel poor, right? There's a difference between like the surface level amount of money you have in your bank account versus your perceived comfort of life, right? And there's a lot of rich people, like a lot of billionaires, that still feel poor, right? Despite having tons of money. This is what Allah meant by, putting poverty between their eyes. Because Allah can put poverty, like you can have all the money in the world, all things in the dunya, but you still feel poor for some reason. Even though you have all this surface level wealth, you still don't feel wealthy. You still don't feel, like you still feel poor. Why? It's because, like I said, you have dunya wealth, but you don't have spiritual wealth from Allah. You don't have the wealth that Allah can provide in the heart, which is what's really important and what's really going to make you content. It doesn't matter how much money I have in my bank account. I'm still going to conduct myself in a wealthy way because I'm already wealthy as it is. It doesn't matter if I have zero money, broke, or I have a lot of money. I'm always wealthy because Allah is always with me, right? So there's a different mindset about wealth and about all the things in dunya. So all the things in dunya really don't matter. They really don't mean anything. So that's why, like, we should be focusing on our connection towards Allah and our connection towards Allah, the higher power, because He's the one that provides everything. And I think focusing on one's character is really the way to go.